Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know.
We know that Georgia stands at the crossroads of the Americas. We've all heard about the world's busiest and most efficient airport, 2 deep water ports, and, well, the most extensive surface transportation network in the country. Comes as, well, maybe not so much of a surprise that in 2012, $39.8 billion in exports were shipped from our state, making Georgia the 12th largest in the nation. Surely technology was a good part of that, but what about technology exports? That's right, Georgia-based technology innovation sold across the globe. Where have we been? Where are we going? And just how does a Georgia-headquartered hardware, software, or services small to medium-sized technology company compete in the global integrated world of commerce? Mobile, electronic, virtual, or real-time markets across the globe. What's the right market for your IT company? How do you find partners, customers, contacts, distributors, and representatives, and more? Greetings, everyone. It's Friday, July 12, 2013, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Are you selling your products or services in markets outside the United States? Would you like to? How about wanting to expand your global market reach? Well, in this edition of Tech Talk, you are personally invited to go global, or if you're already, go global bigger than ever, with the help of an expert with all of the effective and efficient capabilities to give you a real competitive edge. Up to the Tech Talk, Ryan Thornton and Taube Ponce, Senior International Trade Managers in the Georgia Department of Economic Development's Global Commerce Division. Ryan has vast experience in international trade, including exporting Georgia food products for the State Department of Agriculture and in inbound investment, recruiting industry to Georgia from our state's European offices. He's also served as the University Systems Board of Region International Education Advocate throughout the state. Taube has more than 10 years international trade experience as an exporter herself, 10 years experience as an international business transaction paralegal, and 5 years experience with the agency. She was an integral part of the state's efforts that netted Georgia a Federal State Trade and Export Promotion, STEP, grant for 2012 to help small business in the state expand their products and services international. And she is the STEP Program Director in Georgia. The Tech Talk takes you on a global exploration into new markets, new sales, and new opportunities for worldwide expansion as we Tech Talk the business of trade and technology export with state's international trade managers, Taube Ponce and Ryan Thornton. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Taube, Ryan, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thank you so much.
Well, for our listeners, this is a pretty exciting opportunity. Obviously, the opportunity of global marketing. Many of our members and member companies already participate in global commerce of one kind or another. In fact, actually, some of them provide technology in order to orchestrate those kind of functions. But I think from a really a good information exchange, we're going to want to start from the fundamentals. So I'm going to throw this out to you, Ryan, and maybe just kind of tell us a little bit about what services are available through the Georgia Department of Economic Development.
Well, thank you, Frank. We have a lot of interesting services available through our International Trade Division. We have a comprehensive approach, really, and we try to reach all markets for companies that are interested in expanding their exports. We do that several ways. We have some instructional services where we go through the how-tos of exporting and explain industry-specific and country-specific scenarios about how to approach a market. But then once we decide on a market to approach for a company, we'll actually help them with the connections and help them reach out to those markets and find partners, be that a representative or an agent in that market that can help them sell their products and really get into making connections with the right companies that can make the right connections in the right manner to sell really the right way into an export market. So we do that, like I said, in a customized manner, and a lot of times that boils down to where the demand is for their products, but also where we can reach out through our international offices. That's something we can talk about more in depth, but that's a key component in the services through our department.
Well, I know a lot of our members will appreciate the comment when I say it sounds like you're a big data before big data was cool, in terms of providing the kind of insights and information that allows for pretty intelligent decision making. Obviously, in any kind of expansion, market expansion, there's always risk, but the other side of it is you've got the compounding of the cultural issues and obviously the functionality, the source to consumption methodology of how you get from one place to the other. All of those things can be expedited simply by leveraging the knowledge and experience that you guys already have. Toby, let's talk about big business versus small business. I think a lot of our listeners may be surprised to note that you don't really have to be a large enterprise to do global business. Tell us a little bit about how small business in Georgia has had opportunities to travel to international markets and how they've had an opportunity to be connected with, say, potential international partners. And really, I think it would be a great thing to explain what STEP and how does the STEP program work.
Well, the majority of the companies that we work with are actually small to medium-sized enterprises. Quite often we have found that we are more successful in helping them, and they can be extremely successful in exporting their products and services. We've been able to give increased opportunities to SMEs by having a greater number of trade missions and trade shows that the past couple of years were paid for through a STEP grant. STEP is the State Trade and Export Promotion Grant Program that's a part of the Small Business Jobs Act. It's being administered by the Small Business Administration, and states and U.S. territories were able to apply for these grants. We've received a grant for 2 consecutive years. The current one was for $831,000, and we have used these grants to enhance and increase the services that we provide to Georgia companies. So this past year, for example, this past fiscal year, we had 13 trade missions and trade shows in which SMEs paid a small fee, usually about $400, to participate in the trade mission or trade show. They were responsible for their own travel costs, but part of that fee allowed them to have pre-qualified matchmaking appointments in the markets,
wow,
countries in which these events took place. Some additional initiatives and activities that were paid for by the STEP grant was the databases that we subscribe to. We subscribe to a number of private databases that have allowed us to not only do export-import statistical research, but also provide unqualified leads to companies. Unqualified in the sense that we're not contacting the companies beforehand overseas to see if they're interested or appropriate. But I'd just like to mention that even though these are unqualified, I have some clients, one of which wound up getting a $300,000 sale to a company in Romania that came through a lead I had provided through one of these databases, and another company that, traveling to Mexico, met with some of these leads that were provided through these databases and has wound up with hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales. So these databases can be very helpful to companies. In addition, one of the programs that we initiated last year and are continuing this year is what we call our GROW, Georgia Reaching Out Worldwide program, that has brought delegations of international buyers, distributors, and reps to Georgia to meet with Georgia suppliers of those products and services. And later on, I'll get into more detail about about the GROW program that we're having in just a couple of weeks. With regard to the GROW program, last year we had an Israeli buyer that came and met with some Georgia companies, and they've wound up having about $800,000 in sales as a result of those meetings. So these programs allow companies to either travel relatively inexpensively and be able to have pre-qualified matchmaking appointments, something that they would cost thousands of dollars if they used a consulting company to do, or to actually even meet international companies here in Georgia without incurring international travel expenses.
It's pretty impressive, obviously, when you go alone, as you mentioned, or even using a consultant can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and a lot of times, unfortunately, prove ineffectual. And here's a case where all of that homework, all of that background information, again, in the technology industry, they often talk about proof of concept. You've got a track record, and that's pretty much clear by some of the numbers that you're throwing around, Toby. Ryan, talk a little bit about maybe getting into some real-time opportunities. What's going on? Well, let's start with upcoming opportunities, and then maybe, Toby, I'll go back to you, and we can talk about the current opportunities that are facing us right now. But in terms of Georgia companies in the ICT sector, as far as meeting potential international partners or buyers, and specifically to help them sell their products internationally, again, Ryan, what are some of the upcoming opportunities?
Well, I think you made a good point about the big data comment. A big part of our programs is taking a lot of data and a lot of opportunities and narrowing that down to the most opportunistic market, and more specifically, the best partners that you can work with in that country. I can't really talk about this without mentioning our partners in the USIAC, which is the U.S. Export Assistance Center. And when we go into these programs, we work very closely with the U.S. Department of Commerce, the Small Business Administration, like Toby mentioned, as well as Ex-Im Bank, and then Georgia's own Small Business Development Center. And through these various agencies, we work in partnership to reach out and find these partners and to find the right market. The events happening now, actually there's one going on in Canada here this month. It's actually all booked up, but this was a wonderful opportunity where we had something called the SUCP conference, and it's going on in Toronto and in Halifax, where we're doing business B2B meetings, business-to-business meetings in Canada, as well as there's a conference along with that. I mentioned our international offices. This program in Canada is being done through our office in Toronto, and they're helping with the B2B meetings that are going on for the Georgia companies.
Tell us a little bit about that, though, for a second. Excuse me for interrupting, Ryan, but a lot of our listeners may not be aware that Georgia actually maintains not only individuals but actually has offices in international locations specifically tied to trade.
We do, yes. And like I mentioned, these are a big part of our process. We have 10 offices around the world, and I can go through them real quick. We have offices, like I said, in Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, China, Japan, Korea. Our European office is in Germany. We also have an office in the UK and an office in Israel. And these offices are critical to our processes, and we have very good staff there that help us with these research projects that we work on.
So they do on-the-ground, say, pre-market studies to a degree, but then are also there to set up meetings and even, in some cases, I don't want to exaggerate, but literally pick you up at the airport and take you to the meeting? I mean, how far does the service go to?
It depends on the event. So some events we've had large delegations go, so they probably wouldn't go and pick up 10 different companies if they all came to the airport. However, for something like SUCP, they get very involved in finding the right business partners to actually have the meeting set up. And in some of the markets where we need interpretation services, they can provide those if it's a one-on-one type meeting where you may need language assistance. I've done a trade show in Chile, for example. We had 10 companies come exhibit with us in our office in Chile. Did a lot of work months in advance leading up to that trade show, and we had 10 companies, but I think all in all we had maybe 82 appointments arranged for those companies. So a lot of logistics involved in that, and they provide a lot of services. We did actually hire some interpreters to help with some of those meetings, but they do a wonderful job, and we could not do what we do without the assistance.
Now, the general technology sector, the healthcare, logistics, fintech, the kind of things that our guys are involved in and day out, is it extraordinary that you get involved in those kind of companies, or is this standard operating procedure as far as the tech sector is concerned?
Well, the tech sector is something that we're wanting to really grow, and I think working with TAG is a very important piece of that growth. Really, we do work with Senior Reed, who's head of your International Business Society.
Sure, well.
We've actually got some programs coming to this fiscal year to work more with senior and the programs coming through TAG. Also, the Metro Atlanta Chamber of Commerce is a real driver, a great partner with us, and we're actually, that's one of the events I wanted to talk about, is something that the Metro Atlanta Chamber has taken the lead on with this Mobile World Congress 2014 in Barcelona. We will be working with the Metro Chamber this coming year along with TAG and this Mobile World Congress coming up in February. As an event that's specific to the sector. It could be interesting for your listeners to participate with our department in this show. So that again will probably be a matchmaking event where we would go to this conference and then find, if the company wanted to participate with us, we would find business partners where they can meet one-on-one either before this conference or during or afterwards.
And that's in Barcelona?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah. And when was that again?
The dates for this are February 24th through the 27th in 2014.
Okay. Well, Toby, you mentioned, Toby, you mentioned GROW. Let's get into a little bit about that, but also we kind of talked about upcoming opportunities. Maybe now bring it back a little bit. Let's talk immediate situations, current opportunities for Georgia companies in the ICT tech sector.
Yes, we do. We have meetings that we are setting up July 22nd and 23rd in Atlanta and July 24th and 25th in Savannah, because we are having 4 ICT companies coming from Brazil, Israel, and Chile to meet Georgia companies that supply the particular products that they're interested in. And these products can be hardware or software. Each one has a different bent, but these are all well-established and successful companies that want to meet Georgia suppliers of these products. And the products have a very wide range, from call center platforms to point-of-sale hardware to digital signage software to wireless and wired communication systems to CCTV systems. So, and these are just a few. There are many other areas that they're mentioned.
Well, for those that are not familiar with the ICT sector, go into that in a little bit of greater detail.
So, for example, we have these companies that are coming are all distributors. One is an integrator. They're representatives of international companies, as well as they have their own products and services. They are open to and interested in finding some unique technologies or some specific hardware that's, for example, in Brazil, not manufactured there.
Sure. Yeah.
And they all have experience in representing foreign brands and in working with international companies. And they're not aware of what may be available here in Georgia, and we are setting up appointments for them with Georgia companies. Again, you need to be ideally either the producer or the original source for these products and services. They can, if you're simply a supplier or a distributor, by the time you add your markup and they would need to add their markup, the product's probably going to be priced out of the local market. So, we are not really looking for.
Got to be realistic and understand it. Yeah. Exactly. You said Savannah and Atlanta. Again, the dates. Atlanta was July.
Are July 22nd and 23rd in Atlanta, and July 24th and 25th in Savannah.
And if I want to play, how do I make contact with you guys in order to get involved?
Yes. The website, you can go to a particular site that's been set up that is the registration form, and that'll actually have you can choose the date and you can choose the time frame, and then you will be contacted by one of our department employees to set an actual time for you. That site is http://www.tf like Frank a forms.com/289792. Or if you have any questions or problems, please feel free to email me at tponce, that's TPONCE, @georgia.org.
Okay, so I'll tell you one thing, we need to do this more often. There's too many things to cover and a lot of stuff that we're talking about today that I just know our guys just are not that familiar with. And it really is just a case, as you mentioned earlier, about bridging the communications opportunities as it relates to the tech sector, and what a great opportunity. I think our people want to know more. You guys want to make more contacts, so I think it's a win-win for everybody. but we're quickly running out of time. Briefly, Toby, touch on the GROW program. I'd just really like our listeners to know a little bit about that.
Well, the GROW program that I mentioned is our Georgia Reaching Out Worldwide program that brings international buyers, distributors, and reps to Georgia. The one that we're having right now is taking place, as I mentioned, July 22nd to 25th in Atlanta and Savannah. We do plan on having one or more GROW programs next year, too. But for right now, this is it, and we really hope that the companies that are listening to this are going to be interested and will respond because we have space available still.
Well, Ryan, we're quickly running out of time, but I'm going to throw either a softball or a really complicated question and put you on the spot. But what can Georgia Technologies companies do to increase their export sales?
A lot of things, really, and I would really take notice of what Toby's saying about these GROW programs. These are fantastic programs. We're bringing the buyers to Georgia, so the technology companies in Georgia really need to take advantage of this opportunity. These are vetted and qualified companies that we've worked through our international offices to find these companies. So these are qualified companies ready to purchase products. They do need to be Georgia-made products. We're all about economic development and creating jobs for Georgia companies. So if you're a Georgia technology company and you want to export more overseas, the GROW program is the main thing I would focus on in the short term. Long term, I would say work with our department more, work with our partners. We've got a very good process. It works. Our clients do great work internationally, and when they take advantage of the resources that we have available, we really do see good results. We see increased export sales, just getting their export plan together and being more strategic about where they're proactively pursuing international export markets. That goes a long way. And when we decide on a market to go after, if they get on a plane and go meet with these qualified buyers that we find for them, we typically find very good results.
Well, I'm thinking to myself, I'm fed up and I'm not going to take it anymore. As far as I'm concerned, I'm going to stop working hard and start working smart. I'm ready to turn myself in. Ryan, where do I go? Tell me what the URL is that will be the first step that I need to do to make contact with the agency and get the game going.
Well, the easiest place to find us is at georgia.org.
TAG members may want to note that they simply need to go to the IBS section, which is the International Business Society navigation, on the tagonline.org website. You'll find links to information and a connection to the georgia.org agency as well. Ryan, Toby, thanks for all you do to promote Georgia's economy globally, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Tech Talk.